probably have to finish by 8:40-ish today, so I'll have to speed up. All right, so previously, now with the last time we spoke about the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, it was 2 months ago. So let me read it quickly, and I think this is important too. I don't want to take away the importance of what we had already read through or what we had accomplished. And I really want to make sure that we got through what was previously said in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. So we're on chapter 1, and we have gone through the 4 sections already. The first section that we've gone through talks about tens of thousands came before the Buddha. And we talked about this was setting the stage. This was the very, very beginning. And this was telling everybody the setting, telling everybody the location, who was there and who wasn't there, and talk about what did these people do. So this was sort of setting the stage for what's to come. But the very important part about this was the very beginning. We talked about Ananda's 4 questions. And these questions actually talked about how Dharma would have to be continued in the future for something to be able to sustain growth until tens and thousands of years afterwards. This will have to be a very, very cautious path. This will have to be made possible by a lot of people trying to do this. So the 4 questions that Ananda asked, we talked about very at the beginning, was that it talks about the authenticity of the Dharma. In order for the Dharma to continue growing, the authenticity of the Dharma must be true. We must pass on the correct version of the Dharma. It must be what the Buddha was teaching. So authenticity, continuity was very important for something to be able to sustain the growth, or at least being able to be passed down for generations. The way to find the continuity for the Dharma is also very important. And then there's adaptability. What was taught before thousands of years ago may not apply right now. So there has to be people that are right here, right now, that could do the certain translation so that the teachings of the past can be translated so people of the present can understand the teachings of the past, because now they merge the past wisdom into our daily lives. So authenticity, this is something that the Buddha said. Continuity, we have to continue the teaching. Adaptability, this teaching is continued but adapted for our current world, our current situation. And lastly, survivability, making sure that the Dharma is able to survive through the test of time. And usually, the Dharma itself isn't the one that's being tested. It's the people that are passing the torch that are being tested. So the very first section talks about setting the stage, making sure that today we're listening and reading this book and listening to Dharma Master Cheng Yen talks about this, because there have been a group of people throughout ages are doing what they can to make sure the authenticity of the Dharma is true, to making sure that it gets continued, to make sure that all these teachings are adapted to the current world, and making sure that the Dharma and the people that carry on this Dharma will survive throughout these ages, these tests of time. And that's what we talked about at the very first section. The next 2 sections talk about in presence, in the Buddha's presence at the assembly, when before the Buddha began talking about the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, there were all these great, great sages. These are what's called the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. And what that means is they are great sages. They are the great disciples of the Buddha. So this chapter, this section talks about that they have achieved greatness. They have become so great. How did they become so great? Well, we talked about they had the endurance, they had the perseverance to be able to hold on to their belief, to be able to be steadfast and endure through the challenges while encountering all these difficulties. They are determined with a very strong will, and they have a clear and tranquil mind and wisdom to be able to path out what is the best path, what is the best course teaching, pass down the teachings so that it could be better adapted to the current world so that it could be better used in the current situation. So these are the great sages, the great exemplaries that the Buddha has shown for us that they can do this, and this is what they have done to attain great wisdom. So we break down the sections into these 5 subparts, and the first 3 parts talks about how do you achieve to become like these people. Wow, these people are so great. These people are wonderful disciples. They have already made such great vows, and they are able to hold on to their vows for such a long time. How did they do this? Well, the first section talks about how to do this. They are holding on to their belief. They are very tranquil minds, still minds, no delusion, unwavering, and then they have this infinite Dharma and great wisdom. The next part talks about what do you do after achieving greatness? No, it's not like you get the diploma after you graduated. No, you continue. You share your experience. You share how you got here. You achieve greatness. Now you share with more people what you have done to get here, what you have done to learn all these things. That's what all this is about. This is about passing down the torch. This is about sharing what you learned so that other people from the future are able to learn what you have learned in the past. So first, showing the great exemplaries that have already learned all the things that needs to be learned. Next, what they have done to pass down these teachings so that we, the children of the future, can at least understand the same teaching that the Buddha had taught us. So that's what we have done so far, right? And then the 4th subpart, which is what the 4th section is what we talked about in July, 2 months ago, a long time ago. So we're talking about 12 links of causes and conditions. And this is what we talked about. There are these 12 links, and it's just like a clock. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 12. And this is a cycle. It's a cycle of links of causes and conditions. 1 causes 2, causes 3, causes 4, and all the way to 12, and then comes back to 1 again. This is how the links of causes and conditions, that's where our problems come from. We have seen and encountered many, many issues and afflictions in our world, in our lives. So the great teachers of the past, they've broken down how the problems came from. Where did the problems come from? How did they form? So this is the cycle where the problems come from. And through sharing the 12 links of causes and conditions, we are able to learn that precisely where
Brother Joe, your video has frozen and we couldn't hear you. How about the other zones? Are you able to hear and see Brother Joe's video? Oh, okay. Are you back with us, Brother Joe? Yeah, I guess it's the same for all 3 sides, huh? So let's be patient and wait for Brother Joe to come back to us.
Okay, I think we're back online now.
Yes, we are. Please continue,
Okay.
Brother Joe.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, the new place, so the internet connectivity isn't as I expected. Okay, so precisely knowing the problem will allow us to precisely fix the problem, finding the leak and cause of the leak to fix the leak. I'm sure all of you would know. If you just fix at the spot of the leaking, you're gonna have a problem because one day you're gonna go into the attic and you're gonna find all the molds growing everywhere because you only stop where it's dripping, but you didn't realize that there's something that's leaking beyond that point. So finding the cause is very important. Finding the root cause is very important. So the great sages of the past, the teachers of the past, They're passing down the teaching to share with us how they're able to get rid of the roots of their affliction. And this is the cycle that teaches us that if you go down each one of these, you will be able to find out each one of these problems and how are we able to better treat the problems and then better find out, better getting rid of the roots of the problem. So fully diagnose the illness allow us to be able to find the treatments, because at different stage of the illness, you are going to need different types of treatments, right? This is very straightforward, right? If your illness can be treated by dietary changes, right? Making sure you take more vitamin B, vitamin D, then you can do it. You can do it that way. But when the illness gets so serious, it's no longer just taking vitamin B or vitamin D. It's something that you might have to take medicine, whether it is external medicine or internal medicine. But whichever it is, it really depends on where the stage of the illness is. So the diagnosis and treatment can be applied to yourself or you can helping others. And that's what the teachers of the past taught us, share with us. This is how they become the teachers, because they're using this tool to allow them to diagnose themselves and treat themselves. Now they become the great sages. Now they share with us, we can be the same too. So the story so far, the Dharma needs to adapt to the world, and disciples need to continue the teachings to the future, right? That's what we talked about. The continuity, the survivability, the adaptability, the authenticity. The Dharma needs to adapt to the world, and there are going to be people that need to continue the teaching. Number two, all the great disciples are doing exactly this. They're passing these teachings on and passing these teachings forward. How did they do it? With perseverance, with endurance, with the great vows, with all the things that we have just shared in the previous sessions. All these things that make them great are how they're doing that, passing this torch to the future generation, so then they can also learn and they can also teach. Third, after learning all the teachings, it's not like they're done, right? I teach the graduating class and they all graduate, I'm done. No, it's not. They continue to apply to themselves and they continue to teach to more and more people. That's what their mission is. Their mission is to continue the teaching. Their mission is so that this teaching, wonderful teaching, they're able to help us elevate ourselves to a much higher standard, much higher level. They want to teach us that so that we can become like them too. Great sages, great achievements. And lastly, the teachings help us locate the problems, like the 12 cyclic links. Locate the problem precisely and fix the problems precisely. That's what we have been talking about in all the previous sessions, summing up in 4 sentences. So today, this month, on the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, what are we going to talk about? Finally, we're going on to section 5, great guiding teachers for all sentient beings. So what is this going to be about? It's about how do you become a good teacher. We have learned about their mission is to pass the torch on. Their mission is to pass the teaching forward to the future generation. We have talked about how they become teachers, how they have earned their stripes, how they have earned their degree so that they become a teacher. We have seen the path they walk on. We have seen how they study. We have seen how hard they worked. Now, it's not enough that they do all the work to become a teacher, but you have to be a good teacher. And I always believe this, and I only believe this because I'm a bad student. But I really think that my high school teachers are much better teachers than my university teachers. My university teachers are so smart that they really don't know how to teach. They're so good at understanding all the deepest and hardest understanding of all the knowledge, but that doesn't mean they know how to teach. But my high school teachers, while they might not have all the very, very high degree or deep degree, they're great teachers. They can elevate us, they can teach us. So it's not enough that you are a great sage, that you are a great disciple. You have learned so much, that you have achieved so much. That's not enough, because your job is to pass this teaching. Your job is to teach the future generation. So not only do you have to be a wonderful student, you have to be a good teacher. So this section talks about how do you be a good teacher, not just a good student of the Buddha, not just be a good disciple of the Buddha, but you have to be a good teacher so that people can learn from you, right? So there are 4 parts. Practice field. First of all, great field of blessing. Reliance, you provide, a good teacher provides relief, protect, support. Medicine king, you have to address the problems directly, correctly. Lastly, tamer, teaches the good, teaching to good and the bad students. So we're going to quickly go through the 4 and then share with you, this is how to be a good teacher. To pass on the torch, to pass forward the teaching, you have to be a good teacher, not just a good student. That's not enough. You have to be a good teacher. So what does the practice field mean? Well, Master says, if the field of their minds, the ordinary beings, their minds have not been tilled, that means it's not prepared, then there is no opportunity to sow the seeds of goodness. That means you have no opportunity. Your land, your field is not ready. You cannot just have seeds and put them on the ground and it will grow, because the land is not ready. It's full of rocks. It's just not prepared to sow the seeds. So before they can grow the roots of goodness on their own field, they must first depend on others to help them. And this might sound very weird, but let me share with you. We get this all the time. Batting cage, right? If you follow sports, and I do, I follow Major League Baseball, right? So I follow Otani, right? This great, wonderful Japanese baseball hitter, right? And a pitcher, right? So let me ask you, is it possible that you become a good hitter when you are on the field? When you're on the field for the very first time, that's the first time you learn how to hit? No. Obviously, you need to practice on a different place. You cannot practice in a regular game. It's too late. You have to practice at a different place, right? In a batting cage, in a setting where you are able to learn, in a setting where you are able to learn safely, where you're able to learn at your own pace. Just like in Tzu Chi, we have this thing called the surgery simulation, where before you become a doctor, and this is true for all medical students, before you become a doctor, you have got to learn the anatomy of a human being through the simulation, through the actual cadaver of the real person that has already passed away. You have to try it on yourself. You have to perform the surgery on these real bodies yourself. The first patient that you see is not going to be the first patient that you truly operate on. That would be scary, right? No patient in this world would be like to see a doctor so young that they have never treated anybody. You wouldn't want that, right? So this is the same way. The bodhisattvas are there so that you have no experience. Well, then you work on me. Let me be the field that you can practice on. That's how to be a good teacher, because no one would want their relatives or themselves to be practiced on by a completely new doctor. So I, as your teacher, will be that person that you can practice on. And this is true in Tzu Chi, and this is true actually in all the places, in many medical institutions, but especially in Tzu Chi. We have a group of volunteers who volunteer to be patients. And these are healthy people. They went through the courses to become sick patients. Yeah, you hear all these stories where people pray to be healthy, right? Well, in Tzu Chi, it's the opposite. Well, you don't pray to be sick, but you learn to be sick. These are healthy volunteers. In order for the doctors to practice on how to diagnose a problem, they become actors and actresses to act out a certain illness so that you can become the practice field for the doctors. And let me tell you, it's not just diagnosing. Oh, listen to your heartbeat. Asking you questions, diagnosing. No, it also includes pricking you with the needle. And when I hear this, I say right away, I back out of this this simulation thing. You know, I don't want to be pricked by needles at all because I'm so afraid of needles ever since I was small. Okay, so ever since I was little, I do not want to get shot at all. But these other volunteers, they tell these medical students, before you get a field that is ready, before you got your doctoral degree, before you get to be a medical doctor, you need a practice field to practice on. Let me be the field of blessing because you need me right now. Eventually, you become a doctor, patients will come, and you're going to get better. But before that, no one wants to be practice. No one wants to be your practice dummy. Let me be that practice field. That's how to be a good teacher. That's how you will know if your students are doing the right things, okay? So look at our volunteers. Now, these are not real injuries, okay? They're putting on makeup. In order for them to be real, they have to put on these makeup so that the doctors coming to treat them will actually go through this simulation with the diagnosis. They're asking you the right questions. And then they will remember their script. You know, that our volunteers, they're not professional actors and actresses. They would have to remember their script to say all the right things. What happened? Was this a car accident? Did I run into something? That's what they have learned. That's what practice field is all about. Before their field is ready, I am your field. Let me be the place where you can practice on, because no one in this world is going to provide themselves for you to practice. So let the teacher themselves be the practice field. That's how you become a good teacher. Number 2, reliance, relief, protect, and support. All the people in the world have some kind of fear in their minds. And as a result, they do not feel at peace. All of us, right? When we have something, we're afraid of losing it. When we have something, we're afraid to lose it. When we don't have something, we want to get it. That's our heart. Our minds are never at peace, right? We're never at peace when we're yearning for something, when we're longing for something. And we're never at peace when we're afraid of losing something, right? Especially after knowing that everything is impermanent and people's mind become full of fear. And when your mind is full of fear, you are not able to learn anything, right? You're not able to open your minds to take all the wisdoms. So bodhisattvas have to provide the safe and stable and joyful refuge for all living beings. I give you the relief. I give you the protection. I will support you. So in order to be a good teacher, not only do you let them practice on you, but you have to make them feel safe. You have to protect them, support them. When they're in distress, you help them and you give them relief. That is what these great teachers do. It's not just about knowing the things that you're sharing and teaching. It's about, let me be the field of blessing. Work on me, test on me, practice on me. And when you need my help, I will give you relief, I will give you support, and I will protect you. So Master says, when our lives become filled with doubt and fear, all we need is a virtuous friend or a good teacher to come and resolve our doubts. And we will naturally be able to feel safe and happy. And when we're safe and happy, that's when we can learn. Look right now, if in Singapore right now, it's raining, it's wind is blowing, if it's, horrible weather outside, or if it's really, really hot outside, right now we're sitting here, whether we're in the Jingsi Hall, or we're in South Zone, or we're in the North Zone, wherever we are sheltered. We have the strong walls, we have the food, we have all the things in the buildings. We feel safe. Or we're at home, we feel safe. And when we're feeling safe, our minds are at ease. We can make our plans accordingly. But when we're outside, there's no place for me to hide, there's no place for me to run. You will not be able to feel safe. And therefore, the decisions that we make will not be the best ones. So we look at all these typhoons, we look at the tornadoes. Where would you feel more safe in? In the small cabin or in the bunker, in the shelter, like on the left side? You obviously would feel a lot more at ease if you're in the underground bunker that is especially prepared for tornadoes in the US, okay? That's what we have. A bunker, maybe not like this. This is like, a nuclear bunker, but it's the same thing. It's something to protect you. You wouldn't want to be in a cabin where the tornado comes. Even a car, even a truck can be picked up by the wind. So you won't want to be in a cabin, in a wooden cabin. So that's the relief and protect and support that the teacher give us. Facing the tide and the strong wind, would you rather be in a canoe piloted by somebody who looks like never be on the canoe except on the vacation, or do you want to be on the boat where the person has braved through so many of the tornadoes and so many of the high waves and the tides? You obviously want to have a master boatman who is able to brave through the wind and the storm, who has experience. That's what the teachers do. It's not talking about how much you know about the material. It's about providing that protection and the support and the sense of relief to the students. That's important, right? So that's why I mentioned I like my high school teacher more than I like my university teachers. Not because my university teachers don't know their things. They know their things. They just don't make me feel like they're supporting me or protecting me. While my high school teachers, they're guiding me, they're supporting me. They might not be the best chemistry, genius in the world because they don't have a doctoral degree to teach high school. But I feel their protection and support. And that's what Buddha was talking about. How to be a good guiding teacher. It's not that you are so good at the material. No, you have to be a good teacher. And what does that mean? Practice on me. Let me be the field of blessing. Let me be the field of practice for you. And let me give you the protection and the support and the relief that you need while growing up. Just like all these volunteers. The moment you see them show up at a site of disaster, the moment you feel at ease, you feel relief, you will feel the protection, you feel the support. That's what a good teacher means. So all this section is talking about you might learn so much already. You might be the wisest person that you have soaked in so much wisdom from the Buddha. But if you are not a good teacher, you still cannot pass on the torch. You still cannot pass on the wisdom to the future generation because it's all in here, but you couldn't teach it to others. So this is very important. How to become a good teacher. Sacrifice yourself for the learning of the students and then give them protection, support, and relief. The third thing, medicine king. Know the problems of your students and then address it to attack it. So the most frightening thing when someone falls ill is encountering a doctor who does not know how to diagnose the illness and who, not understanding the nature of the illness, prescribes the medicine carelessly. Oh my goodness, right? The most frightening thing is not sick, is when you're sick and you go to a doctor who has no idea what your problem is and then proceed to give you something that he thinks might cures you. Oh my God, that's horrible, right? So that's why medicine king is very important. Someone who knows the problem and be able to address the problem. So there was a presidential debate last week or a couple of days ago that's coming up. Right? That's about the election that's happening this year in November. Right? This is Kamala Harris from the Democratic Party and Donald Trump again. Okay, from the Republican Party. Right? And so what is it talking about? The medicine king. Well, do you even know what the problem is? Let me ask both of these candidates. Do you even know what the problem is? And then are you prepared to prescribe the medicine? And as a person who live in the States or as a citizen of the United States, do I really want to take the medicine you prescribe? I don't know, but we're forced to take it, right? So we look online, okay? So this is the statistics that were given out as part of the census. They ask the people of the United States of America, then ask people, what is the most pressing problem, right? So people say inflation. Obviously, the prices are going up. In 2024, there's an economy is bad, the price is going up, and the wages isn't going up either. So you have a real problems in your purchasing power, right? Immigration. Oh my goodness. If you watch the debate, you will know that Mr. Donald Trump talked about the immigrants going to Ohio or going to some states and they're eating the pets. Is it really happening? I don't think so, but that's what he says. So immigration is also very important. But look at this. Look at the disparaging difference. The people care about the most is inflation and the market. It's our everyday lives, right? And immigration, healthcare, job and economy, these are all pretty much very similar things, right? So all these things are our illnesses of the American society. Are you the doctor to know the problem? Are you the person, the medicine king, to be able to diagnose my problem? And even if you know what the problem is, do you know what the right medicine is? Or am I going to take a placebo? Am I going to take something, right? So Master says the medicine king is somebody they know the properties of medicine. And they know accordingly. They will take it, prescribe the medicine accordingly. So how to be a good teacher means you need to be able to know what the problems of the students is. Oh, you're not learning. What is the problem? The problem is because you have nearsighted eyes and you don't have your glasses. Go and get your glasses, okay? Go and get your glasses, right? Get your prescription glasses on so that you will be able to see the blackboard and then know what the teacher is talking about. If you don't know what the problems are, then you're going to prescribe the wrong medicine. So medicine is like the Dharma, and medicine king is the Buddha. So a good teacher needs to be able to isolate the problem and to be able to fix it and prescribe with the correct medicine, right? So bodhisattvas are able to diagnose the sentient beings' illnesses. In order to guide them, they teach the Dharma according to the sentient beings' capabilities, right? So if your body type is needing a certain type of nutrition, that's what we're going to give you. It's instead of giving you something that everybody else takes, but your body type is very rare, is very different, right? So it's very important to prescribe the medicine according to the disease, right? Lastly, it's even more so important to help sentient beings be able to joyfully take this medicine. And this is very difficult, my friend. Joyfully taking the medicine is hard, right? In the Wall Street Journal last week, it talks about lights out in La La Land. What is La La Land? Los Angeles, LA. They're called La La Land, right? Blackouts hit Los Angeles as climate policies wilt in the heat. It talks about now there is a University of Southern California. Now, if you know USC, right? In LA, we're talking about in LA. There are two major schools, and one is called the USC. The other one is UCLA. Now, these two schools are great rivals. They're across town, and their football games are always, draws maybe 80,000 people to come on, right? But there was a brief blackout, meaning electricity goes out. Why? Why is that? Because extreme heat. But what is the problem? Everywhere else, there's extreme heat, right? It's not just Los Angeles. Arizona, Texas, Nevada, there's also sizzling temperature. But why LA problem? Because the utilities prioritize cities' climate goals over the electricity problems, right? What does that mean? It means that we will not sacrifice climate for our comfort. Well, guess what? We will not have comfort. So this is very, very difficult to take the medicine. You're talking about, I am sacrificing my comfort, no air conditioning, blackout, no football games, so that we can protect the environment. Is this the right medicine? It is. Are you taking it joyfully? No. Everybody's hating it, but you have to take it, right? So the question is, are you always willing to take the bitter medicine, even if it is good for you? Most people will not. And that's why how to be a good teacher has to be a good teacher has to also be able to convince the student that this is good for you and you should take it. Last one, tamer. A tamer is somebody who can tame all the good and the bad. If you're a teacher, you can teach a great class, so everybody passes the course and everybody learn their stuff. That's wonderful. But you can do that because everybody in the class learns. They're willing to learn. What if there are some bad apples in the bunch? What if there are some people that just don't want to learn? Are you able to tame them as well? Are you able to teach them as well? That's going to be difficult, right? Tamer tames all. Taming the unfairness. So we're talking about some of the very, very difficult problems that you need to tackle, right? For example, this is very recent news, right? September 12th. This is just yesterday's news, right? In fact, it's today's news. Mexico, they're remaking its entire judicial system. Why? Because there's a lot of corruption. The judicial system is because it's appointed by the government head, so that if the government head is not if it's got its own mind, got its own thought, it's going to appoint people that are favorable to himself, right? We see a lot of issues, maybe here in Taiwan as well, when there are judges that are appointed by the executive, the president, or the judicial branch, and the judicial branch is very closely tied to the political parties. So then the judges are going to be very closely tied to the parties. Well, Mexico says, no more. What are we going to do? We're now going to be making sure that we're going to be voting and elect our judges. In the US, you only vote for certain inspector generals, but not all the places. Some states have that, but the highest court, the Supreme Court, is a lifetime appointment because they don't want there to be any interferences, right? You're going to be fired because of this? No, lifetime appointments. So you are not going to be fired because you make a ruling against the president. It's not going to happen. President cannot fire you. But now they're saying that we're going to open election for the judges. Now people say this will reduce the corruption, but other people say, are you sure this is going to reduce the problem? It's only going to have more bias in there, right? So what is the true cure? We don't know, because this problem is trying to tame the hardest of all, corruption. Hardest of all, greed, desire, affliction. A tamer, a good teacher, is able to lead and guide everybody, so then they're able to steadfast and break through all these difficulties. When the Buddha, so there's another story, right? And so the Buddha says that we have to teach this to the people that are the hardest to tame, and they just wouldn't. It's too hard, right? They would not want to do this. How to tame sentient beings in the Saha world if it's so difficult to tame? Let me share with you these stories, right? For the sake of transforming the sentient beings, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas engage in spiritual practice and undergone great hardship without relaxation. This is how they become good teachers. This is how they become good teachers. Is this possible? And the answer is absolutely. If you look at all these great athletes that just happen to show their faces in the past Olympics in Paris, right? Mondo Duplantis from Sweden. This is what he practices on track and field. He's a great pole vaulter, breaking the Olympic record and the world record. How did he do this? Speed, strength, and fearlessness. How did he train? Tirelessly. If you are trained hard at it, you're going to become very good at it. This is Simone Biles from USA. How do you train your mind to become a champion, right? There are very quick 10 steps for herself to tame her own self so that she can become the top-notch athlete that she is, right? So is this possible? Can you become a good teacher by training hard at yourself and don't relax yourself? Is it possible? Yes, completely doable. And how do they do that? We talked about it. Endure, perseverance, determined, strong will. This is how you become a good teacher. This is how you become a good teacher so you can pass the teachings for the future. Now, that's the 5th section of chapter 1. And I hope it paints a good picture for everybody to know that in order to pass on the torches and pass on the teachings, not only do you have to understand it, but you have to become a good teacher so that you can teach to the students to accept your teaching. And both learning is already very difficult, but teaching is even harder. And that's what we have to, that's what our responsibilities are, is to be able to learn and then be able to share to more people. Thank you all, and I hope you find it joyous, and I hope you find that understanding this chapter a lot better as the story goes along in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Brother Joe. Yes, I think most of us listen to your sharing joyfully, and there's a lot of things to ponder and to reflect upon. So we're grateful to Brother Joe, and we really look forward to next month to your sharing again in the October session. So Brother Joe got to go earlier because he has another engagement. But meantime, I think we can continue with our learning. So right now we will have, okay, let me just show what we plan to do. Okay, what we want to do for tonight. Okay. Okay, so yes, so for tonight, our suggested program flow will be, okay, we have already completed the online sharing by Brother Joe Huang, 40 minutes. So next we will have an online Q&A session for about 20 minutes, and then followed by the offline. Okay, online is so that our participants on the Zoom online could also share your questions or share your insights, your opinions or your thoughts about what we have learned tonight. So, okay, so now we're going to open it up to our online participants for Q&A. Okay, and after that, we will go into the offline mode where each side, we can continue the discussions and the sharing offline at each respective zones. All right, so anyone would like to start first? Anybody has any comments or any questions that you would like to raise from hearing today's session, or any other things in specific to Tzu Chi? How about anyone here? Anybody? Or you want to share about what you have learned just now? Something that really strike a chord with you, something that left a deep impression. Okay, maybe I start first. So tonight we learn how to be a great teacher, right? So most of the time we are only thinking about ourselves. So we always think about how to be a good student, how to learn as much as we can from Brother Joe, and how to be, how to get good grades. So ever since young. But now, having come into Tzu Chi, we know we want to practice this path of Bodhisattva that will eventually lead us into Buddhahood. So to be a Bodhisattva, we need to be a great teacher, a guiding teacher. So today we learn about these four areas of four ways to become great teacher. Okay, so the four ways are, of course, firstly, the practice field. Okay, what was amazing to me is that these volunteers, they willingly endure and the pain and the uncomfortableness, in order to allow the budding doctors or nurses, to become better in helping other people. So how many of us here are willing to be poked by needles? Raise your hand. Nobody, right? I don't see anybody raising hands. Okay, even for the other zones. And nobody here everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants to feel good, but everybody wants to stay away from pain and suffering. Okay, but without these simulations, how do you think the doctors can practice, or the nurses? Okay, how are they going to practice? Are they going to practice on the dummy, where the dummy doesn't feel anything, and you won't know it has a different feeling or different tactile feel compared to a normal human being, right? So here is that when we talk about sacrifice, or rather, why are these people willingly and joyfully willing to do that? So to me, I would think that is because in their hearts and minds, their hearts are filled with great love, okay, and their mind is always is filled with great, they have great vows. What kind of vows? The Bodhisattva vows to help sentient beings, to enable these medical students, to enable them to become better in their in what they do in their profession, so they can treat patients better. So patients don't have to suffer as much. They're already in sickness and suffering, so they do not need to go through even more additional suffering. So this is one of it. And I remember in Singapore, Singapore, we ever, a couple of years back, we did sign an MOU with KK Hospital, KK Hospital, where in times of disaster, okay, so this MOU stated that, okay, when there is something happened to Singapore, okay, and many casualties, or there's a lot of people that requires medical attention. For example, maybe a major accident that involve many patients, okay, or a train transport accidents, or can be anything. So if such thing happen, then KK Hospital will immediately contact Zhi. Okay, and Zhi will quickly mobilize our volunteers. So I was one of them. I participated in this mobilization simulation. So we have to quickly, within a certain period of time, I think within 30 minutes, our volunteers have to reach KK Hospital. Okay, and what is our role? So our volunteers' role is to be there for the patient's family members. Because a lot of the family members, when they heard about news that their family is, is hurt, or it's involved in this accident, major accident, so they'll be very worried, right? They'll be they will want to know what's the, what happened and what's the condition now, whether are they going to lose their loved ones. So they'll be very worried, and they'll be very fearful, and they'll be very their mind will never be at ease. Okay, so our volunteers are there to comfort them, to offer a caring hand, or even just to be there for them. Okay, and to accompany these family members, because the medical the healthcare personnel, they'll be very busy treating the injured, okay, or the patients. So they won't have time to go and, to go and talk to the family members, or to calm them down. So this is where our volunteers come in. Okay, so we did that simulation where KK Hospital actually hired actors and actresses to act as the family members and the patients. And then we as volunteers, we have to take it like real, as if this is a real incident. And we get to practice. Okay, we get to practice. How do you care for someone who maybe in a mental, almost in the age of mental breakdown, or maybe who is hysterical, crying, screaming, and so there'll be actors or actresses who are acting out like this, screaming for their child, their children, and then how we respond to them, how we calm them down. So it's just like what we learned today, okay, is that a great teacher is someone that can offer a safe and stable refuge, okay, and giving someone to allow the other person to calm their mind, right? So in Tzu Chi, we can be that person. We can be there. We can act in that capacity, in that role. Okay, so this is something very real, because we never know when something might happen. Okay, but we are ready when it happens. And this is something that I think if you have the opportunity, you can also come and learn, come and experience it. because you never know when you might need it. Okay, and even for your own self or your own family, it might not be a major disaster, but maybe a minor one. But the way to approach it and to to be there for the family members, to calm their mind, to offer them uh, a stable place for them to hang on to. I think these are all very good skill sets that we can pick it up, and if there's opportunity, yeah, we should come in and learn about this. Huh? Okay, so don't take for granted that Singapore is always peaceful and blessed and nothing will happen, no natural disasters. We never know. It could be man-made, it could be something else by other places, but it affect us. Okay, just like the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so it affected us. But how do we respond to that? Okay, so this is just a little sharing. Anyone has any comments or any questions or anything to share? Come on, by sharing, you're also we are also learning to be a, a, a guiding teacher. Anyone? How about our south zone or north zone? Or anyone on the Zoom, you may also turn on your mic. How about Brother Frank? Okay, Brother Kim Leng, please. You press the mic so that others can hear. Press the one on the right side. Ah, yes, you must see the light up. Okay, thank you, Brother Kim Ling. So I just summarize your question. So your question is that in this chapter, in this section, Master talk about the master boatman, where the boatman actually helps to carry sentient beings across the sea. to the other shore. So all these are the metaphors, okay, and the parables to describe, to allow us to better understand the principles. Okay, so for the boat that you're referring to, you're saying that the boat is made of six types of material, which are the six parameters. Okay, so again, this is a metaphor, and the boat here is referring to is a tool that allows the master boatman, who is actually the bodhisattva. Okay, he's a bodhisattva. He's a great being that wants to help sentient beings. So this bodhisattva, that means how to become a boatman, how to become a practice to be a bodhisattva is based on these six parameters. So the six materials of the boat is actually referring to the qualities of the bodhisattva, which is the six parameters. So out of the six, right? So you mentioned there are only four. There are only four, is it? Only cover four. Okay. Why left out the other two, is it? Your question? Okay. That one we won't know, because all these are the compilation and of the teachings and commentaries by Master Cheng Yen. Okay, but your question about whether is the equity, whether are all the six equals or they are unequal. Okay, my understanding is that all six are important. Okay, all six, if you look from the perspective of practicing it, okay, I mean, in the beginning, as we practice something, right, as we learn and practice something, there'll be different levels. It's just like you go through schools, you got grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, all the way to grade 10 or more. So out of the six parameters, the easiest to practice is the parameters of giving, dana. Okay, because you give not only just material things, you can also give intangible things. Okay, you can give your care, your love, your concern. You can give your experience, your knowledge. Okay, whatever forms. So it's stage by stage. Okay, but eventually, once you are able to perfect all these parameters, okay, then you become a bodhisattva. That means you have attained the level of bodhisattva. So that's why the parameters in some translation is also known as the perfections. Okay, the perfections of giving, the perfections of patience, the perfections of diligence, okay, and samadhi and wisdom, okay, and and the discipline. So these are practices that the Buddha taught in order for the bodhisattva to attain a certain level. So it's just like if you are training to be a cook, right, a chef. You want to be a master chef. You want to be a Michelin star chef. So where do you start? Where do normally the chefs start from? How do they learn? They don't learn from class. Yes, they learn from cutting vegetables, how to cut, how to slice the vegetable in what shape and form and size, okay, and in what ways, and using what tools, what knife, okay, and so there are many things they need to learn, but they always start from the basic, the simple work, the simple task first, but they don't stop there. They will keep on continue. Then they'll learn how to prepare the soup, right? And then how to prepare the sauce. And they have to do this every day, They have to do this day in, day out for months until the master say that, okay, now you can go and learn the next one. But if not, if you have not reached the perfection, you will continue to cut vegetables for don't know how long. But eventually, if you can perfect all these steps, all these skill sets, then you can become a great chef. So it's the same, just like a bodhisattva. You want to be a bodhisattva? Okay, you need to know how to be a bodhisattva. What are the qualities of the bodhisattva? How to gain the perfection? But of course, we as unenlightened beings, ordinary people, we don't have that kind of capacity. So that's why Master always use skillful means. Skillful means, that means using ways that we can relate, we can understand, using stories of city volunteers, using real life examples of people, of Master's own experience to teach us, okay, so that we can grasp the concept, the principles better, and then we can learn how to apply it into our daily life. Okay, so it's really because of our low capacity. It's not because Master is not a great teacher. Okay, and it's really because we have that. All of us have different capacities. Some learn very fast. Some, like me, learn very slow. You know, I may take much longer time than most people to understand the concept and really to really take it into heart. So different capacities, and that's why our level of learning and level of I won't call it perfection, but your skillfulness is different. Okay, so I hope this is just my personal viewpoint. May not be the correct ones, but everyone are welcome to share their views. Okay. Yeah, sure. You use the mic there. Yeah, press the button. The right button. Press it. Or the left button. If not the left. Okay, then. Okay. Yes. Thank you to Brother Sun Wei for your sharing. Yeah, just to add on, Brother Sun Wei mentioned about 静思. 静思 is in Chinese. What it means is silent contemplation. Silent contemplation or reflections. Because if when we want to reflect on something, it'll be more conducive, or it'll be more effective if we can silence our mind. Because if our mind is busy, very busy thinking of a lot of thoughts, then it's very difficult for us to do the reflection or the contemplation. So in Tzu Chi, we say 静思,静思. 静思 means Jing means silence, Si means you contemplate. Okay, because from silent contemplation, then you can really search within you, within our heart and mind. We search within us and not searching outside externally. So go deep into your own minds, your heart, and then try to contemplate or reflect on what you have learned, on what you have done, whether good or bad or neutral. okay, and to also contemplate on your past, your present, and then how you want your future to be is, of course, what you do now. So that is silent contemplation. And then the Brother Sung also mentioned that out of the 5 parameters, the sixth one is wisdom, prajna. So the 5 parameters itself also need to have wisdom. So we need to have wisdom in giving. We need to have wisdom when we are practicing the forbearance, tolerance, patience. We need to have wisdom when practicing samadhi. We need to have wisdom when we're practicing the precepts. Okay, so wisdom is in everyone. So that's why wisdom is so important. Okay, but how to cultivate this wisdom? Okay, that is a big question now. Huh? That is for all of us to go and find out. You can learn. Yeah, it's our homework for life and life after life lah. Okay, so yeah, this is what Master has been teaching us. So don't worry if you feel that it is too much, too overwhelming. Just take it, in a small bites. Okay, bit by bit. Just take in those that you feel that, hey, this is something, this point is resonates with me and I find it very helpful. Maybe I can try to use it in this situation or at my workplace or with my family members or when I'm doing my volunteering works. Okay, so these are the things only when Dharma is put to good use, that is real Dharma. If not, Dharma is just text or words, sounds, it's nothing because it doesn't resonate, it doesn't benefit you. So this is why we are here for. I mean, in Tzu Chi, we are not just here to happily become a volunteer to help others, but we also want to joyfully cultivate ourselves, our inner wisdom, so we can become a better, to develop ourselves, to be a better person. Okay, and to learn how to be a bodhisattva. Okay, so any more? How about North Zone, South Zone? The floor is open to you guys. Any volunteers like to share? Everybody is still digesting what Brother Joe said today, right? Okay. Okay, never mind. So now we go to the next section is we will have an offline discussion among your own groups. Okay. So for those who are in the Zoom, then you may go offline, but we encourage you to come to any of the 3 sites, Jingsi Hall, or the Red Hill, or the South Zone, or the Khatib, the Khatib Free Clinic in the North Zone. So please come and join us, and then we can have more interactions and more dialogues. Or maybe we can help each other to clarify some of your questions, and also to gain better clarity, okay, on what you have learned and understand, and to see how others put them into use, apply them into the daily life, because that only then it is we can learn from each other's experiences. All right, so let's end with 3 bows to the Buddha. Let me. Okay, brothers and sisters, let us respectfully pay homage to the Buddha with 3 bows. Please rise and put your palms together. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Okay, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope to see you again next month, same time, second Friday of the month. And we wish everyone a pleasant evening, and may you be filled with Dharma joy. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Now you can continue with your offline sharing.